Ladies and gentlemen, we are getting closer and closer to the good old Fed pivot, which historically does bring market corrections. But we'll talk about that in a little while. Been an interesting day to say the least. The NASDAQ is just unbelievable. I just think it's absolutely great. Risk has come on, ladies and gentlemen, and the NASDAQ did a wonderful news play, stop, run up, reversal to the downside, shifting out, back up, taking out the all-time highs, going into the platinum setups today. We had a little bit of fun there. So I said to everybody that we're going to be expecting NASDAQ to come back down, testing this region of the point of control to then initiate the reversal to the upside. They didn't quite take the point of control, the 24K mark, but you know what? Happy days with that. And more importantly, we had Ethereum as well. So I just wanted to quickly just go over and have a look at Ethereum on that side over there. So here is Ethereum. We were expecting that Ethereum was going to come into play with a reversal to the downside to then initiate the move to the upside. We exploited that move with Bitcoin as well. So I'll quickly just dive into that for you. So here we go. So took the trade right there on the slight retrace on Ethereum, and then we rode it all the way up towards the top side of around the 4,517 region. Well, my actual entry was in principle 4,418 to 4,504. So we just missed the top, just ever so slightly. We closed off just a little bit too soon, but never mind. But we actually come out with a nice little return right there on Ethereum, $6,484. And we copied the same trade over to Bitcoin. We didn't make that too much on Bitcoin because Bitcoin's just been a bit of a pain in the ass. It's just not moving. Having a look at it, you can see, I mean, Bitcoin's just gone sideways, but we expected Bitcoin to make the move. But if you notice how they come up, created the vector candle, stop, run to the downside, reversal, and they always recover the vectors in the Brinks box. This is textbook hybrid system behavior. And when they do make this bold move to the downside, and the general consensus is that the market is absorbing good news, they will never keep buying at premium. They will mark it down, collect the bids, and then make the reversal to the upside. How much of a reversal? Well, it's all dependent on who's happy to buy and who's happy to sell. And you can see here, Bitcoin came down and they collected the bids. 14 million right there, and then 23 million right there, and you got even more, 16 million right there, not fully done. 42 million was picked up right there, and now they've made the reversal back up, and we've got a couple of offers coming into play here, 35 and 42. This is proof right now, ladies and gentlemen, when I say to you that when they buy at bid, there's 14 million there, you got the 23 million, and we had that 40 million, 20 million. Where was it? It was all there. You go, 42 million there. He's bought Bitcoin at that price point, and he's now looking to sell Bitcoin at that price point up there, wherever it was, the 30. There you go, 42 million. Now that is an assumption. We can make the assumption that the 42 million on bid side is exactly the same as the 42 million on the offer side. But what you've got to do, if you've watched my CoinAnk video on the channel, you'll understand what I'm talking about when I make reference to this platform in regards to the bids and the offers. Across the board itself, you can see Trump is actively trying to get this lawsuit against Jerome Powell in reference to this building that has cost around $2.5 billion. If you remember when he had that little nudge with Jerome Powell, where he gave a little punch saying that he needs to reduce the interest rates. Well, all right, Trump, man, relax. It's getting there, all right? We do have a little bit more data that's due to come out, but there's other things that are brewing behind the scenes. Trump tariff live updates are that China is now urging firms to stop buying NVIDIA chips. And that's only because NVIDIA signed an agreement saying that 15% of the profits, or revenue, is going to go over to the US. China doesn't like that. So look what that's leading to. Has that done anything in the market? Well, actually, going over to NVIDIA, you see, it's only been trading around the 182.70 region itself, not really doing that much activity. It's copied pretty much what happened to the NASDAQ today, made the stop run lower to only come and claim back the daily open anyways. But I just want to draw your attention over to what's going on with the stock market overall with the NASDAQ. It has cleared another record as well. And having a look at the volume, this is a bit of a problem. It's not above average, and it's lower than the previous days, and it's coming on volatility, and that's the issue, okay? We really need this candle blue volume bar here to be trading above the 50-day to solidify the idea of this bull run continuing to the upside, because when you see it make a big move up and the volume's not present, it can equally then start to reverse. If we go into tomorrow's data, well, we don't really have anything for Wednesday, but Thursday we have the unemployment claims and, of course, the core PPI coming into play. As I said earlier on, with the continuous initial claims, if this continues to go up in its fashion, then it means that there is a problem in the US labor market, which is going to naturally force the Federal Reserve to keep cutting or maybe cut the rates aggressively. But if we do get the projection tomorrow that says that it's coming on Thursday, that it says it's 225 and we see a reduction in that, then we can then look at this and say, okay, this fast move up in unemployment claims was just a blip in the system per se. Now, with that being said, on the same day of the unemployment claims, we've got the core PPE, and it's the core producer price index. That is expected to come in a little bit higher from 0.2%. Where is it? There you go. So 0.2%. And if that does come in higher, then of course that's going to be a little bit of a problem, because it's the change of price to finished goods and services sold by producers. So if the cost of goods and services is going up, naturally that is going to have an impact on inflation in the longer term. Okay. So you've got to really take that into consideration. But I do believe that the market is pricing in the idea we're going to get a rate cut and then it's just going to stop. Because when you look at the actual projections going into October, they are on the expectation that we're going to go down again, 3.754%, but we still got a little bit of weight on the actual interest rates remaining at 4 to 4.25%. And then, of course, any more data that is released after this, and we go into the consumer sentiment and then the retail sales. Once that comes out, that's going to give us a clearer scope on where we can expect the path for interest rates to come into action. Rolling it over to cryptocurrency. So the ETFs didn't really see that much of a gain today. It's not really anything been happening too much. I mean, everything is up across the board with the iShares. It has a volume of 2.13 billion. So that's not too bad. Quickly going over into the liquidations of Bitcoin, you can see that they're doing very well to hold out within this range right here at the 118,450 region. Now, there are a lot of liquidation points right here for the retail trader who is using a relatively decent amount of margin, but nothing great. But the high leverage is there. The bigger margins are all the way up here around the 126K region. Now, what would solidify the idea of Bitcoin going up towards that point? Well, if the rest of the week on data does show that they are going to start cutting the interest rates, because it's showing that unemployment claims are going in higher, and then, of course, the retail sales are coming in lower, they don't want the economy to slow down. So the only way they can achieve that is by making sure that they cut the interest rates. Interestingly enough, we've seen some miners getting a little bit busy on the sell side for Bitcoin. The big spike on the miners position index right here is showing that miners are actively selling things. And that could be because of what's going on with regards to the tariffs. They might think, okay, if we're going to have a problem with China not allowing certain chips to be sold by NVIDIA to businesses in China, then what could it lead to? So some miners have decided to start offloading their Bitcoin. I mean, if there is an expectation that Bitcoin's price is going to continue to the upside, then happy days. These miners really shouldn't be selling yet. Quickly just reviewing the percentage of cryptocurrencies above the 50-day and the 200-day. The actual reading has now come in a little bit higher now. It's at 32.5%. So that's good news. That shows us that altcoins and everything in cryptocurrency is starting to trend to the upside. We go over and have a look at where we are with everything. Oh, NVIDIA just about to make a nice little clean move to the upside. Bitcoin looks like it's trying to hold out. This is on the 5-minute time frame. But what you've got to be mindful of, guys, is how Bitcoin is behaving from now going into the Asian session. This is the 4-hour time frame on Bitcoin, and I'm paying close attention to the fact that we do have those liquidation points all the way up here. And I'm just looking at the way Bitcoin is actually performing. And I'm just going to draw your attention to the idea that if Bitcoin is able to sustain this range, okay, and it's able to clear the Asian session high for the week, that should then lead Bitcoin to price discovery, ladies and gentlemen, which could lead it all the way over towards the 126, even beyond. It's all going to be based on the sentiment of investors across the board in regards to their optimism about the interest rates being cut. So as we go into the Asian session tonight, ladies and gentlemen, just be very mindful. Only start trading when the dollar dominance and gold are actively trading at the same time. That's one thing you've got to take into consideration. I'm looking at gold, and you know something? Gold has been very difficult. I expected gold to make a move to the upside tonight. today, and it hasn't done, with the expectation of interest rates going up. Okay, so it's very interesting to see that gold hasn't moved, but I do expect it at some point to start climbing up, just because when interest rates get cut, gold inversely goes up to the upside. Okay, but as I was saying, just make sure that you are actively waiting for the dollar dominance to be trading and gold at the same time. Because if you're not trading during the time that those two asset classes are trading, then it means you're down effectively a certain pool of liquidity, which means the best time to trade in the Asian session is when Sydney, Tokyo, and Hong Kong are open all at the same time. Okay, that's where you're going to get the success of movement going into the Asian session this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, for any of the holders as well, looking at Bitcoin on the daily time frame, you're still good. As long as price is sustaining itself above the 5 and 13 EMA, then price is going to be working its way to the upside. I do believe that this consolidation is going to lead Bitcoin to take claim towards the 130K plus, but that would only actually happen if Bitcoin is able to clear out the all-time highs with conviction of volume at the same time. Okay? With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope this video helps you out. And be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll be tuning into you all tomorrow morning. Take care of yourselves, gang. Peace.